You guys, right? I know anytime you watch your work back, you're never gonna be a fan. But I'm watching back my videos, right? And some of them I just feel like I'm just talking utter bollocks, bro. And the thing is, yeah, before I turn on record, I have the thoughts really clear and organized in my mind. I'm not really a notes guy, so I'll just be talking like man doesn't have no notes. I don't really do any research. I'm just talking, yeah. But once the record button goes on, I just become some unstructured fucking all over the place bastard. You know, yeah, when you're in a rave and you got some guy that he's not on the beat, he's not he doesn't look like he's holding his alcohol well. He's all over the gaff. Yeah, I feel like that dude in a rave. That I'm not just slow sipping. I haven't got no coordination on the dance floor. I'm just some all over the place bastard that looks like he's about to go in the toilet and puke, right? Um, maybe I'm being a bit of a harsh critic. I don't know, man. I don't know. But there's a few things in my last Beterbiev art yard video that I want to correct, yeah, because I feel like I didn't quite make my point in the way that I was trying to. That and I could have just been talking utter bollocks, yeah. So let's get straight into the tactics, right? The point that I was trying to make is that, and I've gone back and watched Yard's last fight against that Eurobum, and also watched Beterbiev's last fight against Joe Smith Jr. And there's a few things that I want to talk about, and then we're also going to talk about the bull case, so to speak, for Anthony Yard, because I think most people have, especially the bookies, have Beterbiev as the favorite, but I'm going to give a contrary point of view on, all the reasons why Yard could win the fight, and some of them are going to be a bit of a stretch, but I want you guys to indulge me, right? So, first things first, in terms of the tactics of the fight, um, from Beterbiev's point of view, I think it's safe to say that he wants to take Yard to the second half of the fight, right? Because just because he bombed out Joe Smith Jr., Joe Smith Jr. is open, man. He's wide open. He's open like an Indian corner shop on Christmas Day, bro. Yeah. You just like you ain't got to worry about that. So I think that's the reason why Beterbiev, and he even said it in a post-match interview, even though he doesn't speak the best English, he speaks some. He said that Joe's open. You know what I'm saying? So like that it is what it is. And but I think with Yard, he's gonna be a little bit more tentative, right? Yard's got a better defense, probably got even more power coming back, even though Joe can whack. Yeah. And there's a precedent that has been set from the Kovalev fight where he tied down the stretch. So I think look out for that. But if there is an opportunity to pressure, yeah, Beterbiev is definitely going to be looking to pressure, right? But if you look at things like the Gvozdyk fight, he was a lot more patient in that fight, and he got Gvozdyk down the stretch. So we have seen that he likes to do that sometimes. Um, I think from Yard's point of view, when I say that Yard needs to try and take his opportunity early, I don't mean necessarily that he wants to fucking like close the distance on Beterbiev, because absolutely he doesn't want to do that. Like Beterbiev 1,000,000% wants to, so Yard 100% million% whatever, bruv. Yeah. Wants to try and keep it at long range because he's got the better straight right hand. I'm saying that now. I'm saying that now. If you haven't noticed that, then you're on the wrong channel, bro. This hat's doing my fucking nutting, bro. Yeah. You're on the wrong channel. You need to go into some next channel, yeah. Because like this is like being in a PhD classroom and you need to go back and do your GCSEs, bro. Yeah. Because Andy Yard's got the better straight right hand, and that is the kind of shot you can throw from long range. Yeah. Maybe not off the rip, but if you think about, and Andy likes to copy certain things from Floyd, and I'm all with like copying certain things. I'm just saying, don't try and replicate his entire style. But what Floyd used to do is he had this double step back right hand, yeah, and there was no tell with the right hand, so you didn't know whether he was just taking a step back, and Floyd would fight off on the back foot quite a lot. He would, go one way, then go the other in the corner, just as a means to catch a rest. Um, But sometimes Floyd would do this double step back right hand where there was no telegraphing of the right hand. And it's a shot that you can throw with a good risk reward ratio because you're keeping it at range. And so I feel like Yarde should absolutely take and try and manufacture those opportunities, right? To throw heavy shots, but should try and do it from distance. I think the other thing you're going to see from Yarde as well, and I've noticed this in his last couple of fights, is that not only has he improved just generally, they've got somebody new to come into the team to support Tunde. And I feel like this new dude has definitely taken out some of the Mayweather bullshit that he was doing. I don't think that's a contradiction. Even though he still uses some of the moves, he's not trying to fight like Floyd. But also the body shots have improved a lot. The body shots have improved immeasurably. So I think Yarde overall, what his strategy is going to be is to try and beat Beterbiev up to the body. Because at the end of the day, yeah, a 38-year-old is a 38-year-old. Well, let me finish the point I was about to make. I keep on jumping around with shit. This is kind of stuff that annoys me. But Yarde, he needs to invest in the body, yeah. And I think he's trying to take it to the middle rounds. Yeah, he doesn't want to get into the late rounds with Beterbiev because we know he carries his power. And we don't have enough data to believe reliably that Yarde, can do 12 rounds and against a world-class operator. So I think Yarde, he's going to be trying to throw to the body, throw with bad intentions, throw the straight right hand, right? Try and keep the infighting to a minimum, try and keep the short shots, the hooks and the uppercuts to a minimum, right? And hope that Beterbiev slows down. And the point that I was making around being 38 is that you don't really know somebody's old until it's too late. It's not like football where you see him every week, right? Like some people, it's a cliche, but people say fighters get old overnight. Yeah. And that's not true in the literal sense, but for us as fans, they get old overnight because by the time we see it, it's too late. And the thing about the body shots is that, as you get older, your kidney function decreases, your liver function decreases. So taking them shots around the body is no fun, bro. it's no fun at all. Do you know what I'm saying? And especially as you get older, you get tighter at the weight. And the tighter you are at the weight, yeah, the tougher it is to take the body shots. And I think that's going to be something that is going to be a key to a Yarde victory. Yeah. Can he get them shots off? Can he get 3, 4, maybe even 5 really solid shots to the body? Yeah. Every round in the early rounds. Because if he can accumulate those up, yeah, I think you might see Beterbiev slow down and leave him open to a middle rounds finish. Yeah. I'm looking for the routes to victory for Yarde here. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that point. And another point that I wanted to make is that what was the other fucking point I wanted to make? Yeah. When I say yeah, so when I say Joe Smith's open like a fucking Indian corner shop on Christmas Day, that actually reminded me. I remember once, this was when I was young. I think I was probably like 15, yeah. So it was, about like 6 years ago. But like I was about 15, and I remember my mom sent me to the shop on Christmas Day, and I was like, nah, it's not going to be open. She was like, nah, they're Indian, it will be, yeah. So I go in there, and it's open, much to my surprise, yeah. So I was buying my groceries, and there's this like white lady in there, old lady doing a shopping, right? And I picked up my little bits, and she's picking up her bits, and she's got like a basket full. And then she starts going mad at to be fair, with Sri Lankan, they weren't Indian, but she starts going mad at the Sri Lankan dude, yeah, saying, you shouldn't be open on Christmas Day. This is God's day. This is God's day. And I was like, fucking, put your milk and bread back there, you fucking stupid bitch. Like, what are you chatting about? It's God's day, bro. God will take a fucking dim view of you filling up your basket, you slag. Do you know what I mean? Like, wait till tomorrow to get your eggs then. Like, by all means, have an opinion on it. Yeah, if you feel like, okay, this wasn't 6 years ago. This was a long time. This was probably about like 25 years ago or whatever. Yeah, but it's like if you have a moral opinion on something, by all means, yeah. But you can't be in there filling up your basket, bruv. Like giving my man an earful. Like I don't know whether she was just so old that she was just genuinely senile, but anyhow, the point I'm making is Joe Smith is fucking wide open, yeah, and Anthony Yarde is not. And so yeah, okay, this was the other point I was gonna make. If I was Anthony Yarde's fucking defense lawyer, yeah, or promoter, should we say, uh, um, a bit of a Freudian slip there, but here's the point I would be making if I wanted to like give the contrary opinion on why maybe Beterbiev isn't that guy that we hype him up to be. Yeah. So okay, 18-0, 18 knockouts. But let's look at his biggest wins. Yeah. So for British fight fans, most of us he first came on our radar, even though we had heard of him beforehand. The first time we really would have watched him fight against a British fighter was against Calum Johnson. Yeah. He got dropped in the first round against Calum Johnson, came back to beat him up, get him out there in 4 rounds. Now, Calum Johnson had not only fought one fight in 2 years, yeah, leading up to his first world title shot, and even that was at a British level against Frank Buglioni, but he had only fought one round in 2 years. Like he didn't even have 3 minutes of boxing in 2 years. He got Frank out of there in the first round, yeah, and then had the best part of 18 months off before he went in for a world title. Do you know what I mean? So one round in 2 years, like that's rusty, man. That is not prime preparation. And so for him, and I'm talking about Johnson now, to drop Beterbiev in the first round, he's probably thinking to himself, yeah, this boxing malarkey is light work, you know? Do you know what I mean? And he wasn't able to finish the job. And at that point, you're going to be full of anxiety because at that point, you think to yourself, shit, my last fight ended in a round. Yeah. I haven't got this guy out of here. He's coming back at me. And this is long, man. This is long. I've only got 3 minutes in the tank here in the last 2 years. Like by the time you get 2, 3, 4, and you know what I mean, don't get me wrong, Beterbiev is very good. You got a dude hitting you back. You're just not really in a position to weather the storm. Yeah, you're rusty as fuck, bro. So you could add a question mark around that fight. Yeah, his best win for me was against Gvozdyk, who he got out of there in the 12th round, if I'm not mistaken. He's in the 10th or the 12th round. We're flowing no notes, man. You Google it and put it in the comments here. So I think he got Gvozdyk out of there in the 12th round. Now, again, yeah, there's a question mark around that fight because Gvozdyk was coming off unifying the titles against Adonis Stevenson, and something that is a real phenomenon. We've seen it with Chris Eubank Senior and Junior. We've seen it with Nigel Benn. We've seen it with George Groves. Yeah, and I think maybe we saw it with Gvozdyk. Is that when you put a fighter in a critical condition, yeah. So Senior, it was Michael Watson. Junior, it was Nick Blackwell. George Groves, it was Edward Goodnecht, and with Nigel Benn, it was Gerald McClellan. None of them fighters were really the same after that. You know, fighting psychologically is a very difficult thing to do, right? Because most human beings, unless you're a fucking psychopath, yeah, or off your tits, have a high level of empathy, and throwing and landing shots and banging somebody up, yeah, is fine when it's a sport. You know, people that don't follow the sport find it really strange how they hug at the end, right? But when you hurt somebody, and you put them in like a coma, like Stevenson was out in a coma like for months. Do you know what I mean? Like doctors were saying he was a rat, bro. Like he's never getting out of that wheelchair. Do you know what I mean? And like that really takes something away from your killer instinct. And Gvozdyk, you know, he had one fight after that, fair enough, but that Beterbiev fight, he retired after that. Do you know what I mean? And you saw with Eubank, Ben, do you know what I mean? Most of those guys, they never stopped anybody after that happened. You know what I mean? They might have won a couple of fights on points and they started losing fights, but not really the same. You saw George Groves when he won his world title, yeah, at the Blades Ground, Sheffield United, on the Brooke Spence undercard. He broke down in tears and said that, yeah, I lie all the time when people ask me about it. I think about Eddie Goodneck every day, and I was really struggling to get Chudinov out of there, because that's all I was thinking about. So again, question mark there, yeah. And Gvozdyk had his moments in that fight as well, but Killer Instinct, was it still there? Then you look at the Marcus Browne fight, yeah. Marcus Browne had one fight in 2.5 years, yeah, and that's not including bashing up his misses, yeah. Okay, if you include his misses, he had, you know, 2 fights in 2.5 years. I don't know how many they had. They're not really on BoxRec. And then he was in the pen. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know how many fights were involved in, I mean, like trying not to get bummed in the showers. But these are all like unofficial fights, yeah. And but in terms of in the ring, my man had one fight in 2.5 years, and especially in the States, yeah, when you end up getting charged for bashing up your missus and going inside, bro, nothing about that is cheap. Nothing about that is cheap. So when you come out and you go straight in for a world title, you're probably just trying to cover your bills, man. You know you're probably not in the best shape. You know that you haven't got much momentum behind you, but like you got bills to pay, and so you just take the world title shot. And if you hit the jackpot, you hit the jackpot. If you don't, and you get bashed up, at least, you know what I mean, you're covering your costs. And there was a cut in that fight as well. Like, I'm sorry that like Marcus Browne was a very good fighter, but let's be honest, he didn't come into the fight with any momentum. And then you've got Joe Smith corner shop. Do you know what I mean? Christmas Day, all day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he was just wide open, man. He can punch, but let's be honest. Joe Smith, he's probably best known for, he's got some decent wins. He's probably best known for knocking out Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins was 172. Do you know what I'm saying? He got handily beaten by Sullivan Barrera, I believe. And yeah, somebody else as well. Oh, Dimitri Bivol handled him easily. Like he was tailor made, and so yeah, you can pick holes, man. You can pick holes. Like this is a 30-year-old dude. You can pick holes in his victories. Yeah, he's very good, but I feel like he can be hit to the body, and I feel like he's 38, and you know what I mean, along with the kidney, the liver, also something a lot of people probably don't talk about is that as you get older, like you can't take shots to the head because you get less cerebrospinal fluid. People are not aware. Cerebrospinal fluid is a fatty fluid, right? That you have in your brain and your spinal column, right, which protects your brain and your what do you call it? The nerve center that runs down your spine from damage, right? It's basically a shock absorber, right? It's kind of like brake fluid essentially. And the older you get, the less brake fluid you have, and you feel the shots harder. And boy, you could like with sports psychology and sorry, with sports science and all of that, you can increase your cardiovascular function. Absolutely. You can increase, you know, your muscle tissue. You know, there's so much technology and nutrition that can improve the life of a fighter offensively, but your kidney is still a 38-year-old kidney. You still lost, do you know what I mean, a lot of cerebrospinal fluid compared to when you were in your 20s. And you can still get your light switched out a lot easier. And so yeah, man. I don't know whether just because I'm going to the fight, I'm trying to talk up Yarde's chances, but I wouldn't be surprised if Yarde can get him out there. Look out for the step back right hand. Look out for the body shots. Um, look out for me. And yeah, man, enjoy the fight. Peace.